Are you thinking about buying your first rental property right now, right here, 2020, in the middle of a pandemic? Are you crazy? No, of course not. It is a great time. And guess what? Before you buy your property, you do not want to miss this video. I just got done interviewing my good friend Michael Zuber, who owns over 150 units right here in California. Guess what? He bought most of his inventory while having a full-time job. If he can do it, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. Let's all do it, okay? So hey, like this video, subscribe, let's get into it. By the way, if you're looking to invest outside of real estate, right now Webull has an awesome offer where if you deposit at least $100, they will gift you 2 free stocks worth up to $1,600 each. That's a phenomenal deal. The link is in the description. Click it, do it right now. Let's get into this video. Like it, subscribe. Hey guys, I've got my friend here, Michael Zuber. Michael Zuber has been a real estate investor in my market, but lives out of my market. I think you've been buying rentals for what, like 10 years or 15 years or something like that?
It's been about 20 years now in Fresno, yeah.
20 years, wow. Okay. So if anybody has the authority of giving any advice on buying your first rental property in 2020, I think Michael Zuber definitely has that experience and knowledge to give input. So my goal and my hope with this video today is really to instill confidence in the viewers and the listeners, to just let them know it's possible. You can go out and you can buy your first rental property this year. Mm-hmm. And, Zuber, if you could just give us, an overview of your story, how you went from a job to being a real estate investor.
Yeah. So again, if we try to summarize my story, it begins like most folks, right? I had a job, and it is so eerie how it's similar today. I had a job. I saved up a couple of bucks. We're talking $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000.
Yeah.
And I started day trading stocks. This is what a lot of folks have been doing during the health crisis, the Robinhood accounts, and frankly, they've been winning. And I won too. I successfully turned about $7,000 into $200,000 over the course of about 18 months, right? Yeah. So it was a longer duration. I had a full tax year where I had to file my taxes and show that I made 6 figures trading stocks. And then the party is over. Again, so eerie to how it is today, right? The market rolls over. You buy the dips or you bet against it, and the long story short, I went from making or having about $200,000 to having $40,000. So I lost 80% of what I thought was a lot of money. And again, I didn't come from much. My parents are military. They're high school graduates. Making $40,000 a year was a lot, and my father was the only one working. So I didn't come from a lot. So the fact that I lost $160,000 is not a good beginning. Not a good thing, right? Uh-huh. So I walk into a bookstore. I'm now 30 years old, and I'm looking for something because I happen to have a very busy career that takes me into multiple states or multiple countries every week, each and every week. And it's not a great quality of life. You spend 100 nights in hotels away from your family. You travel 1,000,000 miles on airplanes. It's not a good life. It sucks. And I knew I couldn't do it forever. So I had to find something. So I stumbled across the book. It was purple. Happens to be my favorite color, right? Wearing the purple shirt, called Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
And it changed my life. I read the book cover to cover 11 times in a row.
Wow.
And if you read the book, it inspires you. It shakes you up, especially if nobody in your network talks about money or investing, right? Mm. My network of friends wasn't great. It wasn't full of people that were leaning forward, doing big things, and really trying to change things. They just wanted to party and buy the next stupid toy.
Oh yeah.
And I had to do something because I was going to blow up. I was going to be burned out, and I wasn't going to have anything to speak of. So I found rental properties, right? That's what Robert Kiyosaki, Kim Kiyosaki talk about in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I had to figure out how. So I wasted a year. Again, stupid story. I wasted a year because I live in the Bay Area, Silicon Valley. And every book I read after Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Chris said, invest 30 minutes from home. Mm-hmm. Well, for me, that just doesn't work. It never worked for 20 years, right? If you want cash flow, which is what I want, it didn't make sense. So lo and behold, my wife and I, Olivia, who you've met, pull out a California map and we start drawing circles, right? 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes. And we find Fresno. It's 2.5 hours away from home. Mm-hmm. Never been there. Don't know anybody, but I know there's a house I can buy on Norris Drive for $107 that rents for $1,100.
Nice.
And we go down one weekend. It's the only house we see that's available, much like today. There's only one where we see 9, but the other 8 are pending. So we write up a full price offer on North Drive, 1818 North Drive East, and we get it. And that's how our story begins. And that particular tenant turned out to be a nightmare. But the story of Norris Drive is a wonderful one. After the first 6 months, it then goes in value because, again, I've been doing this 20 years, so I saw the peak coming. And right around 2007 or so, we did a bunch of 1031 exchanges into apartments.
Yeah.
So we sold houses at the peak. We got apartments. We went from 8 to 80. Then the market rolls over. Our net worth takes a hit, but cash flow goes up because rentals are flying. Rents are up. And then we get aggressive buying hard money, private money. And 2010 was our most busy year as the market kind of bottoms. And I retired about 15 years after we started. So when I was 45, Olivia retired about 11 years after we started. So she's got 4 years on me being retired. So it is possible. And then we write this book, One Rental at a Time, as a sister to Rich Dad, Poor Dad, because I wanted to document the full history. Somebody who read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it changed their life, and then what happened? And as you know, we go through the good, bad, and the ugly in the book. We talk about all kinds of mistakes, things that went wrong. And, it is still possible. It is possible to have, I fundamentally believe, Chris, if people get 4 rental properties, it changes their financial future.
Yeah.
It may not retire you, but who cares? It gives you options when you do retire. And, I think more people should talk about getting to 4 rentals. I think too many people talk financial independence. It's that dream. It's sexy. But most people hear it. They give us a half hour, and then they don't do anything. So I don't do that anymore. I go, you know what, let's get to 4, because I haven't met anybody who doesn't think they can get 4 rentals in 2 to 8 years, depending on how much you can save. So let's get to 4, and let's get you your first one in 2020 and your second one in 2021. And, I love what you're doing.
I love that. And that's actually, for me, I think one thing that this pandemic has done, basically slowing life down, spending more time with my wife, with my kids, it's made me realize, like, I'm really starting to have a disdain towards the hustle, the transactional life, the commission based, the wholesaling, flipping. It's just, you close one and it's on to the next one. You close it, it's on to the next one, and realizing, like, there really is no freedom in that. It's just, you constantly need more and more and more and more. But spending more time with my family, realizing how much I love that. It's one thing you said about financial freedom, and the more I look into that in personal finance, and I realize, I think a lot of people have a false belief of what financial freedom is. Financial freedom, I think oftentimes is seen as like no debt. And to me, financial freedom is I can stop working and everything's going to be okay. Right? My bills are going to be taken care of. There's going to be a roof over my family's head. There's going to be good food in their tummies, right? And we're going to be okay. We can continue to live on.
There's too much talk, too much celebration of what I call rich.
Yeah.
And rich, that just means a high income. And I've worked in the Silicon Valley. I have hobnobbed with people who've made 7 figures in a year from some stock event, right? Mm-hmm. They worked at Facebook pre-IPO. They worked at Google pre-IPO. And then one day they're worth $5 million, right? Yeah. I've seen it. I mean, I know them. And for the most part, a lot of those people aren't happy.
Yeah.
First off, a lot of them lose it or spend it, right? Lose it or spend it. Same outcome to me. It's just gone. It's amazing how fast that will go, because again, that's 5 million pre-tax.
Yeah.
Right. That 5 million becomes 2.5 really quick. Then you buy a house in the Bay Area and suddenly you got nothing left.
Yeah.
So, being rich is not the game. I wish more people would have this aha moment that you talked about, the hustle. Gary Vee and a lot of these people we watch online, hustle, hustle, hustle. But really, when you listen to Gary Vee today, Gary Vaynerchuk, he's like, dude, I get 8 hours sleep a day. Yeah. These people that think I'm sleeping 2 hours a day, they're kidding themselves. Sleep's important. Yeah. And, do what you love, and it never feels like work, right? So, I got to tell you, rental properties, again, my whole track record is I found rental properties. I learned Fresno. I went from spending 100% of my take-home pay to spending 50%.
Yeah.
And my income didn't go up all that much. So those were, because I got really good at what's it need? Like, what do we need? I.e. food in your stomach, roof over your head, gas for your car versus want.
Mhm.
Olivia and I cut out wants for 15 years.
Yeah.
Our daughter got a couple, right? Because
Mhm.
she's a teenager and all of that stuff. She didn't get a lot of her wants, but she did get some, if we're completely honest. But again, right, you got to take care of your kid. But it would have been embarrassing to really think about what we had done for 15 years. Now
Sure.
you happen to know I have a nice car and this, that, and the other thing. But dude, for 15 years, nothing. We didn't, nothing.
That's one thing that I see a lot. I think a lot of people talk about like millionaire habits,
Mm-hmm.
and you see this waking up early, sacrificing, working hard, budgeting, right, investing. And a lot of times I hear people say, well, yeah, it's easy when you have money. I think what the common denominator is, millionaire habits are formed before someone becomes a millionaire.
Oh, guarantee you, dude. I would. Yes, absolutely.
When someone's struggling to pay their bills, right? That's when they start waking up early. That's when they're budgeting their money. That's when they're investing. They're taking all that excess crap that they're paying for, cutting it out, and they're taking that income.
And then most importantly, so that's all important. But here's what gets most people is they have that little tick up in money, right? They get a raise, they do a wholesale deal, and they allow their life to inflate into their income.
Oh yeah.
Dude, that is such a mistake. That's why I tell people I try to talk to high school students as much as I can. And I tell them, hey, could you live on $2,000 a month? Every single high school student I've ever spoken with said yes. I'm like, if you can live on $2,000 a month forever, you can be financially free by the time you're 25.
Oh yeah.
Cake. The problem is, we graduate high school, we get a girlfriend or a boyfriend, we get a car, we get a credit card, we get the fancy Gucci belt, and all that stupid stuff, which again, I wasted a decade doing dumb things with money.
Yeah.
But again, think about what we just said. If you can live on $2,000 a month, if you're watching this as a high school student, seriously, agree to live on $2,000 a month, which, oh, by the way, means you could still have your own apartment.
Yep.
It means you could house hack if you want to. Mm-hmm. It means you can have a car. It's just not the uber nice car. It's probably a used car. I mean, you could do a lot with $2,000 a month. And then you will be retired and financially independent by 25 or 26. I mean, I am such an idiot for not being able to do that until I was 45. Man.
Yeah. Well, one thing I would love to kind of dig into, Michael, is, this is geared towards people who are thinking about purchasing their first rental this year. What kind of tips would you give them as far as what kind of financial position should they be in now? Where do they find deals? Those types of things.
Yeah. So if we're talking specifically the next, what would this be? 3 months, 3 weeks left. What you need to do first and foremost, no matter where you are in the country, is you need to learn your market.
Yeah.
And I can only speak to Fresno. It's the only market I look at, but I think it's going to be a lot of suburbs out there. Today's tough. Right? Why do I say that? Well, it's because I look every day. Mm. I've been looking every day for almost 20 years. So I can see ripples in the market, right? Yeah. So today in Fresno, 2020, owner occupants are dominating the market like I have never seen.
You mean as far as buyers?
Yeah, as far as buyers. Yeah. Owner occupants, bidding wars, and tie that in with limited supply, it sets up a recipe for something investors need to recognize and then focus on something else. So what do you recognize? You recognize that FHA buyers can come in for the lease down, 3.5%. They will get the lowest interest rates, something in the 2s. They will have 30-year money. They can get credits for closing costs. So essentially what all this means is owner occupants on a property that will go FHA will outbid you and me.
Yeah.
Right? And I can say that because I can give you a real example. It's been about 45 days. There was a property listed for $199, just a little 3-bedroom, 1.5 nothing house in Fresno that in my model pencils at about $170. So I looked at it, came up. I said, interesting. That's more than I thought it would be worth because the market's starting to change, right? So this is probably in March or maybe early April. Market's kind of changed. Where'd $199 come from, right? $170 is a much better price. 48 hours later, it's pending and it ends up closing at $219.
Oh yeah.
So that's the market we're in, clean properties, FHA. So if that is recognized and is similar to your market, what do? Well, you don't waste time today looking at clean properties.
Yes.
You have to look at things that owner occupants don't want. So what is that? There may be some frustrated landlords that are selling properties tenant occupied. Number one, because owner occupants FHA will not approve that loan with a tenant there. You can't. It's an owner occupied loan. They won't fund a house with a tenant. So look there. Second, FHA requires certain conditions, which you could think of simplistically as clean, right?
Yep.
It's got to be updated, new this, new that, all of those things. So you can't look there, but you can look at distressed or, whatever you want to call that, fixer-uppers.
Yep.
And if the worse it is on the fixer-up scale, the bigger the discount is. Because today I really see real estate as a pond, right? Mm-hmm. And the fish in the pond are deals. And right now, all the buyers, the people in their own little boats, are owner occupants. And there's lots of lines, but there's not a lot of deals, right? Yeah. So I hate competition. Yes. So I don't play there. I go, okay, what aren't they looking at? It's frustrated landlords, tenant occupied, or fixer-uppers that don't qualify. So that's all I look at today. It's a much easier process. And I can do that right in the MLS. Now, if you invest time, become a known entity to other wholesalers and realtors, you can get off-market deals.
Yep.
I believe the most important thing that new investors get wrong is new investors think, how many people do I know in Fresno? Right? That's what they think, right? Mm-hmm. I'm going to call. Wrong. The real magic in is how many people in Fresno know what you are looking for. So, right, one of the first conversations we had, right? You're in the hospital with what it was, your fourth child or something, and first time we spoke, like right? Yeah. And I'm like, okay, this is what I look for. And you're like, hey, I got a house here. It's I don't have time to do it. I'm having a kid. I'm gonna spend time. I'm like, great, I'll buy it. It was kind of that simple, right? So you always knew what I was looking for, and I have now 50, 60, 70 people in Fresno that know what I'm looking for. So the two deals that I've done, zero marketing during the pandemic for people calling me saying, hey, I got a deal that you told me you're looking for. Only bidder, no competition, easy conversation. So that's the key, right? So you can do deals. Every market is different. Like in January, I was still doing deals in the MLS.
Yeah.
It was a different market than April, and it's a different market than September. And I guarantee you 2021 will be different than 2020.
Oh, yes.
But you can definitely find deals today.
Definitely. I love that. Yesterday I recorded a video. Haven't released it yet, but I will. And it was, buying your first fix and flip in 2020. And nice. The very first tip was knowing your market. And the second was networking, just like you're saying.
Perfect.
Letting people know what you're looking for and what you need to buy.
Yeah. And here's a hint. Don't you ever tell a guy like me or Chris, just give me a deal.
Oh, no. Nope.
No. I want 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,100 square feet in this zip code or whatever it is, right? I want blue houses only. I don't care what it is. Have a criteria.
Yeah.
Nothing sets me off more than an investor call. Hey, Michael, I know you're really busy and get a lot of deals. Call me up the first time you can't close the deal. I'm like, what? Deals are really hard to come by. I think I'm going to be able to close everything. Yeah. Okay, you got it. Click.
Yeah.
What?
Definitely. Yeah, that really leads me into the next question as far as financing. I think a lot of times people see financing as like the biggest hurdle. In my opinion, the deal is the biggest hurdle, because if you have a good deal, the financing is there, right? There's so many people with cash. There's asset-based financing. There's hard money. So I would definitely love your insight. And if somebody's looking for their first rental property, maybe weigh the pros and cons of going through private money, maybe somebody putting up their own cash. What would you suggest somebody do?
Yeah. So if we were having this conversation in March, my answer would have been different, because one of the things you'll learn as you're in the business longer is lending can really make this, start and stop. So why did I say March? Well, lending, private and hard, essentially stopped for fixer-uppers for about 45 days. It's like, nope, we're 100%. Done. So you either had FHA borrowers or cash buyers. Everybody in the middle was stuck.
Yeah.
That can happen. It doesn't happen a lot. It only happens when people get scared, like a pandemic from China comes and we're not sure what's going on. So it doesn't happen a lot, but when it happens, it's sudden.
Yeah.
So having it now, again, you're right. It's the deal. So first and foremost, let's just work down cheap and easiest down to most expensive. So if you're an investor and you have the 20%, getting out your first 4 loans is remarkably easy. And oh, by the way, you're going to get rates under 4%.
Yeah.
I mean, my first deal was 7.25%. freaking under 4. I have a friend who bought one of my pride of ownership's rentals was 2.99. Now he paid a point to bring it down, but still.
Yeah.
30-year money at 2.99 for an investment.
That's ridiculous.
Gosh, darn it. Why can't I get those loans?
Yeah.
So again, if you have less than 4, your first 4 is easy. It will take 20% down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's bank financing, clean properties, all of that. Next, again, private, or let's go hard money first. Hard money or asset-based lending is back. It is a little bit more expensive and a little bit less aggressive, more conservative. So in January, you can go get a hard money loan for pretty easily for 80% of purchase or 80% of total cost, with the whole idea of burn me out in 6 to 9 months. Right? Yeah. That was the whole thing, right? Mm-hmm. Hard money will come to the table. They'll get their 3 points. They'll get 9.9% or 11 or whatever it was, interest, probably interest only. And then the whole idea is you're going to burn me out after you do the remodel. And once you get good at this, they'll actually fund the remodel, right? Once you have a track record, pretty easy. Today, it's a little bit more. In a market like Fresno, you probably have to bring in 15 or 20% of your own money. The repair money will be given at draw periods, but still it's there. It's a little bit more expensive. It's no longer 9.9 to 11. It's probably more like 10.5 to 12. And there's probably some pretty strict, time frames, but hard money is back and it's pretty easy to get. They're advertised everywhere. You can call the hub, you can call Chris, and with plenty of people that invest in Fresno hard money wise. But again, just remember the deal has to be really good to make hard money profitable.
Absolutely.
Because it is freaking expensive.
It is.
Right?
Yeah, I think that's maybe something a lot of people don't think of, or something that I discovered because last year in 2019, I was wasn't tired of wholesaling, but I was seeing how much money I was leaving on the table. So I started buying more flips. So I think at a time when I had maybe 4 or 5 flips going on, properties under my ownership, I started getting a lot of calls from hard money lenders wanting to fund my deals.
Yeah.
And so I ran through probably the biggest hard money lender. I won't say their name, but the biggest around this area.
Yeah, I know who it is, I think. But
yeah. And I was like, okay, here's this deal. I've got private money lined up, but let me know what you guys can do on this. Yeah. So I send them all the details. They're like, oh, this fits in our model.
Yeah.
So we want to we want to fund this for you. So I was like, okay, just give me give me the numbers. I need the numbers.
So give me the sheet, the commitment or whatever. Yep.
I mean, it was going to cost me like $7,000 more just in fees alone. Yep. Just in fees.
Yeah.
Interest rate wasn't that bad. It was
but it's 3 points and then this and then that and then this and then that.
Yeah, I was like, no way. I mean, how are you guys giving me an advantage over anything else? Sure, you're funding 90% of the purchase, but I already have 100% of the purchase covered.
Yeah, I'm already good.
I have 100% of the rehab cost. It doesn't make sense that you're going to cut into like a quarter of my profit.
A flipping business that requires hard money only is a tough sledding.
Oh yeah.
You're eventually going to lose money on a deal. And it may not be the house. In fact, it's probably not the house. It's the hard money cost that will eat you alive and the carrying cost. And,
yes.
Oh, time frames. And oh my God, the city screwed me. And another 2 weeks before the next inspection. Well, there's a half a month of hard money cost. It's like, cha-ching.
Yep.
Yeah. And then we'll just close with private money. Private money is by far the best. I've raised millions of dollars in private money. Mm-hmm. Once in 2010 and again in 2018 and 19. The key for private money is you need to build a reputation.
Yep.
You need to be able to communicate what a good deal is. You need to be able to show it. It's not even deals. It's nice if they're deals, but you have to articulate and say, hey, I have farmed the Fresno market for 90 days. These are the 17 deals that I found. Here are the numbers, how they would have worked. Do you want to participate? And then when you do private money, the beauty about private money is you can be creative. And I always think about the lender. Mm-hmm. What do they want? So I'll give you 2 examples. In 2010, people were even more scared than today. So what did people want in 2010? They wanted double-digit interest rate. Mm-hmm. So I bought house after house after house after house, 100% financing, paying 10% interest only.
Yeah.
How could I do that? Well, I could buy a house for $50,000 that rented for $1,300. Mm-hmm. $50,000, 10%, it's like $400 and some a month. Easy. I still have a couple of those loans because they're so small.
Yeah.
So that's what they wanted. Nobody wanted to participate in upside, and there really wasn't any upside to be had because the market was so saturated. Mm-hmm. What did people want in 2018 and 19 once I retired? They saw what the market was doing, and they wanted to participate actively in my deal. So they wanted a kicker. They wanted some of the juice. Mm-hmm. So I created something I call the 6 and 20 program. I took my 10% interest on what I borrowed all the way down to 6, makes my carrying cost easier, makes me allow to hold out for variability in the market if something doesn't sell a lot easier at 6 than 10. But I give them 20% of the profit.
Yeah.
Right. Once the building closes or the house or the apartment that I sell closes, part of the audit is they get 20% of the profit. And again, I get to leverage my capital. Everyone I've done to date, they've made more than 20% on their money annualized. Mm-hmm. But again, I don't do this just because I get nothing. I've earned 80% on my money because all I have to fund is the repair cost.
Yeah.
So again, think about the lender. Again, why do I do that? I could borrow the fix-up cost, but that's not who I am. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be able to walk away from a deal and not hurt me.
Yeah.
I want to walk away. If I have to lose money on the deal, I want to lose first. Mm-hmm. So I buy a junker, discounted. I then spend 50 or 60 grand. And if I can't sell it for what I thought, I lose profit first. And then if I lose more than that, I lose my repair money. Right. Mm-hmm. So my lenders will always be taken care of unless something catastrophic happens.
Absolutely.
But even then I have insurance. So, but anyways, but that's how you have to treat it. Take care of your lenders first and foremost. They must win. And oh, by the way, once they start winning, they start talking to their friends. Mm-hmm. That's why I can tell you I have access to millions of dollars and I've never asked for it once.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's key. When it comes to private lenders, it really is about the relationship. It's about letting that lender know that their investment is secured and really their return is going to come first, right? It's going to come before yours. Yeah. It's going to might even come before, you pay yourself or you pay your own mortgage or your own
Absolutely.
rent. Their money is the most secure part of that deal.
Without question.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really crazy because I have fully funded fix and flips without ever meeting some of the lenders that I've worked with, right? Never met them face to face.
For sure.
But just like you said, it's that reputation, right? There was a lady that she just somehow, some way we got connected. I think we spoke over the phone once. Yeah. I sent her an email on a deal. She's like, hey, you know what? I actually called around for a bunch of people I know in this market and everybody had good things to say about you. So yeah, I'll fund your deal. Right. And never met her face to face and, has funded me into the 6 figures.
Wow, that's great.
And that, that relationship and that reputation is the number one thing when it comes to raising capital like that.
Yeah, I would tell you it's absolutely raising capital. Anytime there's money involved, reputation is paramount. I would tell you as a buyer, flipper, landlord, your reputation matters throughout because again, one of the things that you can do in this business is you can make money shortcutting it, being, zero, meaning winners and losers, but you'll burn yourself out. Your name will be trashed and deals will start running away from you versus being attracted to you. The only deals I've done in this pandemic were deals with people I have treated properly in past transactions. Yeah. And they're like, hey, you did right by me. You didn't retrade me. You didn't discount it. A guy that I bought the 3 units on Washington from called me up and had a wholesaler lock it up for $225. Couldn't close because the pandemic happened at the wrong time. Money was gone. Yeah. And he goes, what can you do? I'm like, I don't know. It's kind of a weird environment. I'm not sure. Maybe 160. He's like, I'll tell you what, can you do 175? I'm like, done. Like it was that simple, right? So 3 houses for 175, which, I'll end up selling here shortly for 300.
Oh yeah. So what do you think as far as someone's looking to buy their first rental, what kind of financial position do you think they should be in personally?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just thinking about this yesterday, like maybe looking at it from the perspective of if losing on this deal is going to crush you financially, then maybe it's not time to buy a rental property or, what's your take on that?
So what I would tell people, again, buy and hold, again, I like to talk to people that we go from 0 to 4 because the answer changes for me from 4 to 10 and then 10 and above. Yep. But let's just talk about 0 to 4. I want you to be able to fund the deposit, whatever that is. For most people, that's 20%. I want you to have the make ready money because today, again, you're buying junkers, right? Mm-hmm. So realize that. And then on top of that, which may or may not sound like a lot, I want you to have $5,000 set aside in an emergency fund. Not emergency fund you and your family like Dave Ramsey. Yeah. I want you to have a separate account, $5,000 for a house just for rentals because you never know when the water heater will break. Yep. You'll never know when your tenant will ghost you. You need to have that money set aside that is untouchable for any other reason than your rental emergency. That's what I want.
That's good. I like that. Yeah, I think if you're not financially ready for this, whether it's a rental or a flip, I mean, soon you'll be digging into your own finance and trying to float a project, and it could be expensive. I mean, what's crazy about real estate is I think the risk factor shouldn't scare us away, but understanding that if you get your numbers wrong, you could be in the negative tens of thousands of dollars.
Oh, easy.
And that's kind of why I like what you say about getting your first four, because I feel like just having one, it could go wrong. And then now it leaves you a bad taste in your mouth, right?
Yeah.
Now, I've met people who had one rental property, tenants tore it up, and they're like, I never want to touch real estate again, right? But
well, yeah.
I think 4 gives you an idea of the business, right? 4 gives you an idea of what profit can look like.
Goods and bads, and yeah. I think you're dead on, Chris.
Let's see. I think I'd want to get into some of these questions that some of my friends had asked me. I know this
should be fun.
Yeah, I know this one came from my wife, actually.
Oh, I love your wife.
Yeah, she said, if you could go back to when you first started, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Yeah, so this is a big deal. It's in my book. And there's 2 things. First and foremost, you need to celebrate your wins more. Mm. One of the things that I document in the book, and it's a big problem I have because I'm so competitive, I'm always leaning forward, is I didn't celebrate the small successes.
Yeah.
Like getting your first deal, like getting your first offer accepted. And I'm not talking like big, popping bottles and, spending all that cheddar. I'm just like, go for a walk, talk to your significant other, just commemorate the step forward. Every step forward in the beginning needs to be celebrated because I promise you will have bad days.
Yeah.
And I bring this up because I can only remember 2 days vividly in our 15-year journey. And the second one was we were leaving one of my employees. So he worked for me, right? Mm-hmm. Below me in the organization. And we left like our 7th or 8th housewarming party, right? Mm-hmm. He bought a big old house and was showing off and all of these things. And I remember driving home, and I don't cry a lot, but I broke down. I actually had to pull over on the road to compose myself because I thought I was going to hit something. Wow. And Olivia's looking at me like, what the hell is wrong with you? Right? Did you bite your tongue? Or, I mean, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
And I'm like, honey, I don't know. Cause it's year 8, right? We have 80 units by then, but the key is we kept buying more stuff. So we never saw the cash flow.
Yeah.
Right. We were kept like and again, we were sacrificing, right? We were doing nothing. We didn't upgrade our house. We didn't do this. We didn't do that. We didn't do this. So we're sacrificing. We're 8 years in, we have 100 units. And I'm stressed out because I keep looking for the next deal. Mm-hmm. So what I should have done is I should have taken just little moments and celebrated the progress up this mountain of financial freedom. Mm-hmm. And I would have had so many more positive moments. Because if you don't take the time to celebrate the positive moments, then bad ones will just build up and eat at you, right?
Yeah.
So that's the first one. And that's kind of a different answer than most people give. But the second one, and equally important, is at least for me, and I don't want to presuppose to know anybody else's social network, but the 5 friends that I had, right, that I spent the most time with when I started this journey had to go. Mm. They wanted to party. They wanted to drink. They wanted to go out smoozing for girls. Yeah. They wanted to go add the rims to the car, do stupid shit, right?
Yeah.
So I had to get rid of them because I was about to reduce my lifestyle. I was about to, go down into live below your means and millionaire next door kind of stuff. And I just had to get new friends. And then I had to circle myself with other investors. Yeah. Investing, you talk different, you think different, you find opportunities different. And then most importantly, when you find investors, they build you up when you have bad days. Mm-hmm. If you have the fire for real estate, but your 5 friends don't, I promise you in a matter of weeks, months, they're going to extinguish that fire. And that will be a huge disappointment.
Oh, yeah. I think that's one thing that I love about the world of real estate investing is I've noticed, I think most people are within this industry are very giving, right? They like to be held accountable, right? They like to reach out to other people. They like to be available to help. And what I've noticed is after a few years of being in the business, you notice that most of the people in real estate, all their friends are all in real estate. They're just hanging out with other flippers, or they're just hanging out with other wholesalers or landlords.
Yeah. If you're going to be successful in this business, your reputation, you're going to do the right things. And then once you're in it, you have a track record. It's just, and most importantly, we're all mainly positive people. We don't let negative things get us, right?
Yep.
We just keep moving forward.
Definitely.
It's pretty cool.
Definitely. I think I've got a couple more questions for you. This Zoom meeting might end pretty quickly, but I was thinking, what are your tips on investing out of area? I know you're 2.5 hours from Fresno, but I know some people might be looking at some of the cheaper markets, few states over.
So first and foremost, I hate it when I hear a California investor, I'm California, say I'm going to pick a state in the Midwest because it's cheap. Yeah. I'm like, you can go broke with cheap.
Yes.
Just as quickly. So what I tell people is team first, right? And by the way, you need boots on the ground that you're not paying for. So if you call me up and tell me, hey, I found a property manager that's also my real estate agent, that's also my lender, that's also my run away. You need somebody on the ground that you are not paying hundreds or thousands of dollars every month that's going to tell you the truth. Because the easiest way to go broke out of state is to have people lie to you or tell you half truths.
Oh yeah.
So I would not recommend it unless you have boots on the ground. This is what I tell people. If you have boots on the ground that will show up at your funeral, you might be okay, right? They're going to get seriously. If they're going to show up at your funeral, they're probably caring about you. They're probably going to tell you the bad news. They're not going to hide anything. That's what I mean. It's that much. If you're going to go to Ohio or Indiana or anywhere else because it's cheap and you have nobody there that's going to tell you the truth, 9 times out of 10, you're going to lose.
Oh yeah.
So team first. One sec. I get all these wholesalers that call me all the time. I just hang up on them. So team first, market second, right? So what's the market, right? Is the market growing, shrinking, whatever? Yeah. And third, deal, like the house. Most people treat it exactly the reverse. They find the deal first, then the market, then the team. And that's a way to go broke with out-of-state investing.
That's good. That's really, really good. Yeah, I think what's crucial too is that property management and getting referrals, and I think that goes back down to having the boots on the ground, right? If there's somebody there you can trust and they can tell you, hey, this is the property management company that I use, or this is the company that, my friends use, and you get other references. I think references are so important in this industry.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And again, I fired the first 5 property managers I had in Fresno. So it's not like I got it right. Yeah. It's just, I stumbled across it after time. And again, people may be good out of the gate. Life changes, man. Life changes. Yeah. So you need somebody who's going to tell you the truth, and out of state's just riskier than people make it look.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Zuber. Well, how about, just closing this off with one little piece of advice. If someone's listening, maybe they're a little closer to thinking about finally investing in real estate. How would you want to close this out and some advice? I
would like to tell you there should be 2 things you take from my storybook or YouTube channel. And that is I want you to believe it's possible. Yeah. It is absolutely possible to go from a single house that I did on Norris Drive to financial freedom. My journey is 15 years in the making. Most of you can do it in less time than that. And then lastly, this business is about building confidence. So take a little bit of progress every day, and you can learn a market. I tell my students all the time, it only takes 20 minutes a day. Yeah. The people that are spending 2, 3, 4 hours a day trying to jam it all in, that's not real estate. Real estate moves in cycles. We got to watch it move and change. So 20 minutes a day, plenty. And I can say that because I did it, and I've helped hundreds, if not thousands of other people do the same things. So 20 minutes a day and believe it's possible.
That's great. All right. Well, that concludes it. Guys, if you're not following Michael Zuber, definitely check out his YouTube channel, One Rental at a Time. I'll put a link to your channel in the description. I'll put a link to your book in the description.
Thanks, man.
You got to get it. Thank you, guys. Till next time.